Well, it seems the Russians have come up with a new tactic to ensure the people of Ukraine continue to suffer. In a massive weekend offensive, Russian missiles hit 36 energy targets in Ukraine, plunging more than 1 million people into darkness. No power at all. It seems that the Russian leader, Vladimir Putin, has given up winning the war on the ground, relying instead on relentless air attacks. Joining me now from Brussels to discuss what NATO might do next and what kinds of cyber warfare is underway is European Commission senior expert and former Ukraine representative in the European Parliament, Dr Cristina Vanberghen. Cristina, great to have you on. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. What's your reading of Russia's plan here? Has Putin accepted he can't win a ground war?
Oh, thank you, Chris, for inviting me. Well, first of all, we were informed that there is no evidence that Russia is interested in ending this war. The security situation has changed in Europe due to the Russian cyber attacks on Ukraine. And, well, in a speech addressed to the nation, Putin said Moscow's nuclear weapon is not a bluff. Well, I cannot speculate how NATO would respond to such a nuclear attack. I think that in the worst case of using nuclear weapons, NATO will make sure that Russia understands the way in which NATO will react in order to avoid any miscalculations. However, let's be realistic. Putin is not going nuclear because he can do many other things. He can destroy, he can target any nuclear plants. He can continue its hybrid warfare. So all these methods of attacks are more logical than the use of nuclear power. And Russia has a long history of hybrid warfare by attacking Estonia, Germany, Norway, Baltic states. So, and Russia knows that our economies are digital economies, and the information, the exchange of data, it's so important for Europe.
Let's talk about that. You're a cyber expert. You're a digital influencer across Europe. What kind of war games are going on in the cyber sphere at the moment between Ukraine and Russia?
Where the cyber attacks will become even more prevalent in just now. They are attacking both critical industrial infrastructure and data networks. We know that the first cyber attacks was against Viasat on 24 February, 1 hour before the invasion of Ukraine. The target was Ukraine military, but internet user and wind farms were also affected. Recent cyber attacks include data wipers and distributed denial of services. So these cyber attacks have significant impact on users and also in order to create a kind of fear. UK and European Union has sanctioned the Russian military intelligence agency because we need to be very clear. This is not the work of private hackers, but of the Russian military agency.
Okay, so this is Putin's other army, right?
Yes, of course. So we are very clear because there were a lot of speculation on this issue, and the main authors are the Russian security services, foreign intelligence services, the general staff of the armed forces. So, and we know that at international level, NATO has recognized cyberspace as a kind of fifth battlefield. Yep. And currently, Article 5 is not, well, it's based on kinetic arm attack, and there is no definition on cyber attacks. So it's a kind of interpretation. Yep. It will be up to the 30 members of NATO to define what amounts to a cyber attack. So I know that Australia also is very much confronted with a lot of cyber attacks.
Yes.
We know well here in Europe, and this is our new world. We cannot eliminate all the risks, but we need to enhance our collaboration. This is very important. And I know that every country reacts in its own way. For example, some prepare a kind of implementing plan, companies prepare a kind of implementing plan after the incident.
Yes, it's quite late. It's too late after the incident, isn't it? I want to ask you about these missile strikes. How long can Russia keep sending missiles into Ukraine?
Well, we don't know. That's clear. We have two opposing approach. On the war side, we have the the Ukrainian army, which is very much focused on liberating its territory. And of course, the Russian army, which is very much focused on, when declaring independence of the occupied territories. We know very well that this is a very long war.
There's no solution to this crisis, is there?
I don't think we have normally three conditions, three ways of concluding war conflict. But well, first of all, by when the belligerent agrees to conclude a peace agreement. The second way, when there are when all the resources are exhausted. Well, now we have seen that there is a kind of mobilization, but it will be winter time, so we don't know exactly. But there is a little bit of hope. And the third solution is when both belligerents are exhausted and they agree to conclude the war. And we in this moment, none of these conditions are fulfilled. So it will be a long war. We estimate 3 or 4 years, but well, we don't know. It's depending on the conditions. Yes, and we were informed that actually Secretary Blinken and the Pentagon, they had discussion yesterday with Russia, and there is no sign, no evidence that this war will be concluded. But I would like, because you mentioned this kind of cyber attacks, I would like to say something positive just now. Well, you might know that 2 days ago, the framework strategic partnership between Australia and European Union has officially entered into force. So there will be a lot of opportunities of working on foreign policy, on justice and legal cooperation.
Excellent.
We have this kind of opportunity to let's say to set up the pace, the international standards. I mean, this is a very good issue.
Good. It's a great big step. I've got to leave it there. Cristina. You've been quite insightful, and I thank you very much for your time from Belgium. All the very best.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Dr Cristina Vanberghen, 3 or 4 years. Can you believe that?